White people, do something. You know, I always like to use the word hilarious to describe something that's so debased that it sort of brings up the difference between what human beings are supposed to be and what they are, because it's like watching a guy in a tuxedo fall into a mud puddle, which is hilarious. And so that's why I love the site Medium, because it's all this leftist stuff, which really shows you just how stupid people can become when they follow bad philosophy. Bad philosophy just takes you into this place. It is like falling into a mud puddle. Bad philosophy is like falling into a mud puddle, and that's what leftism is. So they have this wonderful, wonderful article, 75 things white people can do for racial justice. And one of the things I like best about it is that there's a big sign in it that says the picture, the illustration for the article says, white people, do something. So it reminds me of that old cartoon of a left-winger standing on a stopped escalator going, the escalator stopped. How will I get to the top? While other people are walking past him. It's like, white people, do something. Well, you know, how about educating your kids? I mean, what would you say to, if you were really friends to black people, you'd say, you know, you got to marry the woman who has your babies. You got to educate your kids. You got to get a job. You got to not commit crimes. You got to do all the things that make you part of society. Instead, it's like, white people, do something. The elevator is stopped. The elevator, how am I going to do anything? So let me give you some of the suggestions for what you, if you happen to be a white person. Now, if you don't happen to be a white person, you don't have to listen to this because you're a black person, so you're helpless. You're absolutely helpless to do anything for yourself, according to the left-wing state of mind. But if you are a white person, then good golly, then you can do something. Let's see. You can find and join a local white space. A white space. And it gives you a link. You can go to this white space and it's, wow, I'm racist, it says. Wow, I'm racist. In time of viral encounters, white spaces are used to confront biases. That's what I really need. I really need to say I'm racist, because if I'm racist, that just makes me human. We're all a little bit racist. Read Ta-Nehisi Coates. I've done this. I'm there. I have done this. I think his work stinks. I think his work sucks. He does everything to put responsibility for saving black people on white people instead of turning to black people and saying, hey, you know what? You got to take care of yourself just like everybody else. He wants reparations. All you have to do is use your imagination about reparations. You can see they're not going to do anything. What if you got a check in the mail? Somebody said we should give them $14 trillion. That's really going to help. We've given them trillions and trillions of dollars over the last 55 years. That's not what does it. What does it is charter schools, choice schools, the things that Barack Obama crushed. What does it is getting married, the thing we're afraid to preach to anybody lest we be seen as bigots. It comes when you have churches that actually preach the gospel instead of leftism. Ta-Nehisi Coates is given awards by white people because that philosophy helps white people to maintain the status quo. Let's see. Read A People's History of the United States by Howard Zinn. I've done that too. This is great. I am there. I am like the least racist. I must be the new man. I have done this. The book sucks. The book says that he is going to look at American history in terms of all its victims, the Indians and the black people and this one and that one. Well, I can do that to any history, including black history. I can do it to any person. I could tell the story of your life starting with your porn searches. And yes, I am following your porn searches. I know what they are. And I could tell the story of your life that way instead of starting from the place where you helped an old lady across the street or saved somebody's life or built a business or did all the wonderful things you've done. If we started with all the wonderful things that America has done, which is more than virtually any other country on earth has ever done, then we could talk about the flaws as well. But that's not what they do. Read Nikole Hannah-Jones' 1690. Me. I am this man. Here am I. I have done this thing. I have read the 1619 Project. It's a pack of lies. It's not only a pack of lies, it's worse than a pack of lies, because when it was pointed out by historians, this is the project put out by Nikole Hannah-Jones. It's just an awful, awful person, in my opinion, at the New York Times, and is now spreading through our educational system, which claims that America was founded to protect the institution of slavery, which is what they call untrue. It's a technical term. Some of you probably, if you're on the left, you probably have never heard that term. It's untrue. That didn't happen. However, when it was pointed out that it didn't happen, they just turned the language to mush because they didn't want to take it back and say, oh no, this whole thing is ridiculous. So they turned the language to mush and they just pushed this complete lie out on kids across the country. It's a terrible, terrible thing to do, but you can read it and then you'll be a better person. Decolonize your bookshelf. No, I will not. All the great ideas come from the West. I don't care what the race is of the people who wrote those books. When we want, the funny thing about this is radicalism. What they say is we want less racism, so we got to destroy the West. If it weren't for the West, you wouldn't even know racism is bad. The idea that racism is bad comes from the West. Nobody ever thought racism was bad before there was Jesus. Nobody ever thought, oh, this is a bad thing, that I'm an Italian and he's an Englishman and we're different kinds of people. No one ever thought that there was anything wrong with that until America, until somebody wrote down in law, all men are created equal. That's when it became a bad thing. So if you want to decolonize your bookshelf, I personally, this is absolutely true, I am a cultural imperialist. I believe when you have a good idea, and the West has had almost all the good ideas, you should spread those around. And one of the ways of spreading people around is letting people into your country in slow immigration, controlled immigration, then assimilating them. That's a good thing. That actually spreads Western ideas to other cultures. So do not decolonize your bookshelf, but do straighten it up because it looks terrible. All right, let me find one more of these and talk to the white people you know who aren't clearly upset by white supremacy. Well, I talk to myself all the time, so I'm right on this. Use I statements and I care messages. I feel when you behave in a certain way. I feel that, because that really matters. It really matters how you feel when I behave in a certain way. How does it feel when I, give you the finger and get stuffed? They need to know you see a problem. So I am talking to white people who aren't upset by white supremacy like myself. So I am talking to myself, and I'm saying to myself, if we're such a white supremacist country, how come Asians make all the money in this country? How come they make the most money in this country? And I say, I don't know. It sounds ridiculous. It's ridiculous like this. We got to really fight back against these people. They are actually having this stuff permeate our society. It's nonsense. It is what we call, another technical term, crap.